let me be frank about this and I'll explain all the flaws that are there in this design so that it may be useful to somebody else who might be designing their own robo. So the first and the biggest flaw is the usage of the very outdated L293D motor driver. So the L293D is very inefficient. The fact that it uses some kind of inefficient drive chips and the output voltage is 2 volts less than the input voltage. So when both motors are running at full speed, they are consuming about 1 amp and there's 12 volts coming in and 10 volts going out. So there's 2 volts drop. So 2 times 1 is 2 watts of loss on a chip that does not have a heat sink. That's quite bad. In fact, this chip is the reason why I had to use an extra battery. Otherwise, the 6 volts from this lead acid battery, if they connected directly to the motors, they consume half amp total, and the rover moves sufficient speed. It's because of the voltage loss of the L293D that the 6 volt gets cut down to 4 volts, and that 4 volts is not sufficient to carry the weight of all these apparatus. So that necessitated having a separate battery just for the motors, which made it quite heavy. And if you look at the servo connections here, I didn't use extension wires for servos. I instead used jumpers for each lead coming out of the servo cable. This is a very unreliable way of connecting it, because when the arm is moving about, these can come off quite easily. They don't require much force at all. So yeah, that is, in my opinion, a fairly significant flaw that will greatly reduce the reliability of this design. And I never really took the effort to make it very permanent with puff board, because it was still, I didn't have the time to do that mostly. So I have it on breadboard, which means the connections can come off just like that, because they're just held with friction and they're not held with solder, unlike in a perf board. So if it had been a perf board, it would have been much more permanent and more reliable. So that's one more flaw. And one physics-based theory mistake that I made was, I put the servo with the maximum torque not at the first link, which would have the maximum moment of inertia. So the moment of inertia is like the rotational equivalent of mass. So this has actually a lot of moment of inertia despite weighing lesser, because it's so long. And instead of putting the servo with the maximum torque here, I miscalculated and I put the servo with the maximum torque here at the base to rotate it. Actually, when it's rotating, and it can come to such stowing positions while rotating, the moment of inertia is actually lesser than the moment of inertia that this servo faces. So that was one mistake. And if you look at this servo's placement, the body has been put in the upper arm instead of the body being put in the lower arm. The straightforward way of doing it is to have the body in the lower arm and the arm connected to the upper link. But I didn't do that. For some reason, I put the body in the upper link and put the arm on the lower link, which unnecessarily increase the moment of inertia of the upper arm by a significant amount. These are not 9 gram servos. These are much more powerful servos. They weigh like at least 30 to 40 grams and they're fairly large. So that adds a significant amount of mass to the link. And since I didn't bother to make spacers made of PVC or number of nuts, these rollers, there are these cast steel rollers that you can see here. They did not align correctly, so most of the times it was the base servo itself that was carrying the whole weight of the robotic arm and not the rollers, which were supposed to do the job. So that they were just like lying around. They would move around a lot. They'd make noise, but they did not support the weight, because I had not put correct spacers on the nuts between the nut and the screw holding them to have them at the correct height. So that was another mistake. And another miscalculation of mine was to use 5mm acrylic. So for this application, usage of 5mm acrylic is excessively strong. It's not needed, and I would have also reduced a lot of weight by putting in hollows in these links and reduce a lot of weight. So if I had gone with 3mm which had those hollows, it would have been more efficient, and the amount of energy being spent just to move the arms would have been lesser. And during calculating the amount of power that these things would need and the how long this rover can operate, I did not take into account the fact that these servos consume electricity even to hold a particular position, because there's a gravitational force pulling it down. So it needs to put some force to keep it there. It consumes electricity to do that. I did not take that into account, and that was a miscalculation of mine. And another fairly much bigger mistake was not using Loctite. Since I did not use Loctite on these nuts and screws, whenever this arm moved about due to the vibrations, these screws would come loose, and like after 2 or 3 runs of the fixed program that I had on board, it was a very simple one. It would go from point A to point B, pick something lying on a fixed position relative to the rover at point B, and come back, drop it at point A. Very simple thing, does it 3 times and stops. That's what I had programmed there. And I didn't bother to get this running now for this video because of the number of flaws that it had. I will certainly fix all these flaws and make a different video with a newer construction and newer improved electronics. And so if I just put some Loctite on all the screws and nuts, they would have stayed in place instead of coming loose due to the vibrations. And there's no remote control, so like unless you program very well all the things to be done, and that too it should have some kind of a sensor to give it a sense of location in its environment, so which this does not have. And these are not very accurate motors, or nor are these wheels accurate. These joints also have some play in them, so while moving itself it has a significant drift from its expected path, and the program on board does not have any means of correcting for that, so it's a very inaccurate rover currently. And another thing is that this arm, instead of giving extra strength, is actually dead weight now. So there's really no reason to have this arm. It's just lagging behind, and this is the arm that is actually moving. This arm is pulling this arm and then making this move. This is completely unnecessary. I could have just had one arm doing all this and placed this claw at the center of this arm. But maybe I thought at that time, when I was much smaller, like I was 14 years old at that time, that maybe this would be, having 2 arms would be better. So I thought that, and with that idea I went for this. But now I realize that having 2 arms is actually worse than having one arm. Having one arm would make it much more lighter. So we don't need these long screws, we don't need this whole side, this plate will be smaller. Yeah, so that's a number of flaws that maybe you, the viewer, you can avoid while building your own rover. So stay tuned. I'm thinking of making an all-terrain vehicle out of this strong steel chassis that I have. Stay tuned for that. That's coming soon. Thanks for watching.